Speaker is Dr. Rishi Swaroop. He's the medical director of Swaroop Eye Hospitals at Hyderabad. He specializes in cataract, cornea, and refractive surgery. A very dynamic surgeon, and he's sharing his pearl to us with us today. Over to you.
Thank you, Dr. Chitra and the AIOS ARC team for this wonderful opportunity. It's a fabulous webinar. I'm learning a lot. So this is one of the interesting, challenging cases. It's not really a complication, but one of the challenging cases which I managed a while ago, and I'd like to share that. It was a 43-year-old female school teacher, progressively came with progressively decreasing vision in both eyes since several years. She had consulted earlier in 2016, was diagnosed with some corneal disease, and she had a similar history of similar disease in her family also, who were being treated by me, and I had done an exam of PTK for that. She had undergone a left eye femtosecond anterior lamellar keratoplasty somewhere else, and says that after the procedure, her vision had significantly worsened than what it was before the procedure and was extremely unhappy. And so she had come to me for a second opinion to fix her problem. When I saw her eyes, her right eye looked like this. It was 624 improving to 69 parts. And of course, this is a classic appearance of granular corneal dystrophy with discrete white opacities with clear intervening stroma. You can see some more images of the same. The left eye was a vision of 6 by 36 and showed a significant compound hyperopic astigmatism and improving only to 6 by 18, even though the cornea was reasonably clear. And patient was having a lot of distortions. Of course, with the RGP lens, the vision did improve to 6 by 9. So we can see a clear anterior lamellar graft, but you can see that almost more than half the graft host junction edge, as you can see with the arrows, there was a massive override of the FALC graft. So the graft, obviously there was a sizing issue, and the edge was actually standing up beyond the edge of the trephination with the femto. And probably this was the culprit for the poor vision in this patient, is what I thought. And of course, you can see a few discrete granular deposits in the host bed, which is the dystrophy which was not removed by the FALC. Some more images of this cornea. You can see very clearly the edge of almost 6 clock hours of that override of the graft. So this is the corneal OCT. You can see the right eye is having these superficial deposits, and the left eye, you can see that it's a fairly thick anterior lamellar graft. And what immediately strikes you is that probably even the left eye would have had similar kind of superficial deposits, and perhaps the FALC was an overkill, and a simple PTK could have done the job, at least initially. So I looked at the topography. Right eye showed also some irregularity, and left eye showed a significant amount of flattening in one area. Actually, this was a smaller zone topography, and I'll show you the other maps later. So my diagnosis was both eyes corneal, the granular corneal dystrophy, left eye status post FALC with irregular astigmatism. So what were the management options at this stage? A patient was extremely unhappy even with her right eye vision. So I told her that let's try and fix the right eye first so you can see something. She was having difficulty correcting papers in school. So we decided we'll address the right eye first, make her comfortable, and then we'll decide what to do for the left eye. In the meantime, I gave her an RGP contact lens for her left eye, or scleral contact lens. So and the other option for the left eye was to either repeat the FALC, remove this graft, and go with another smaller graft, or probably do some sort of a topography guided surface ablation, maybe even a two-stage procedure. So we did a right eye excimer PTK, which is a transepithelial PTK, because as you could see, the deposits were quite irregular. If I were to remove the epithelium and do it, I would be left with an irregular bed. So the epithelium is the perfect masking agent here. And that's what we did, and applied some mitomycin as well. And the left eye, and of course the patient did very well and got a good visual improvement. A few weeks later, we decided to go ahead with the left eye topography guided transepithelial PRK, it's not PARC, with mitomycin C. And you can see now in the tomographer map that the cornea is quite irregular, and you can see the area of the hinge inferiorly, which is kind of very different from the rest of the circumference of the graft-verse junction. So I decided to treat predominantly the sphere, and I decided that we'll do a two-stage procedure. I just want to remove the irregularity of the cornea first, and then I could always do a second treatment for the residual refractive error. So I just wanted to bring down the hyperopia and treat the irregular astigmatism using a topography guided ablation as suggested by the Schwind laser. It has a very easy format for selecting the topography correction, for planning the correction. So essentially that was what was done, and you can see that the Pachy was quite good. We had 595 micron central Pachy, and the maximum ablation depth would be just 102 microns, including the epithelium, which is pretty reasonable. So we would have a residual bed of 493 microns. So that would leave me with enough cornea for the second ablation as well. So you can see that by February 2019, the patient had a fairly regular cornea in both the eyes, although she did have a good amount of residual error in the left eye also, but the vision had significantly improved. And by December 2019, she was continuing to maintain good vision with glasses, but you can see that she started to get some of those granular deposits back in the right eye and the left eye in the interface. This is a problem with doing FALC in granular dystrophy or even a DALC. It tends to come back in the interface. So again, a point to reiterate that probably it's a good idea to do a surface ablation, a PTK rather than a FALC in a dystrophy such as this. So this was again in December 2019. You can see the cornea. You can see some deposits in both the eyes. And by Jan 2021, which is a few months before today, the patient had complained that her vision in the left eye had significantly dropped, and she was not happy with the high refractive error in the left eye and the difference in the refractive error. So she said, let's go ahead and plan the second treatment that you'd promised me. So as you can see, the topography is somewhat showing some irregularity there, which again in the tomography you can see a significant amount of flattening in the inferior part with the peripheral steepening. So we planned again a topography guided ablation using the minimized depth mode in the Schwind exam laser, and you can see I've treated almost the entire refractive error in this particular setting. And this was what the patient showed at the final visit, was just a few weeks ago. So the patient has come down to in the right eye and both the eyes almost near planar distance correction, a very small cylinder, and patient is extremely happy with the vision. You can see even that little bit of cylinder is quite regular, so which is well correctable with glasses. So at final presentation, the patient had a fairly regular central cornea, and in spite of the very irregular FALC, we were able to get a good outcome because of a topography guided ablation, albeit two-stage. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Rishi. There was a lot of learning in your video. The one thing we all know that in granular dystrophy, the recurrence can happen and at a later date, and probably the only way to salvage is to do a repeat PTK or a topo guided PRK and later do a FALC and later go on to do a DALC. But what I wanted to ask you was, what would be your mitomycin exposure in these cases? Would you use it for a longer time?
So again, it would be just like it would be for any surface ablation, depending on the amount of depth I'm ablating. So for every about 10-15 microns, about 10 seconds.
And this doing a hyperopic classic in that last sitting which you did for her, I'm somehow not very happy about this hyperopic classic, because that also adds haze and regression can happen. So I think you just bought some temporary respite for yourself, not a permanent solution there.
Yeah, it was not a very large amount of ablation, just about 3 diopters. So even
Rishi, have you ever seen haze in a case of PTK?
After a PTK?
Yes.
Actually, no.
Yeah, so this is something that we all have to think about.
Yeah.
It's probably because the area that we treat is quite large. I have not yet seen a single case of haze.
I think it's because my PTK we don't go that deep. I think it's more to do with that.
That's true, but even for the corneal scars, even when we are anyway at a depth, you would still find that there is no haze.
That's a valuable point, Dr. Rupal. So,
Rishi, I just want to make a comment. Rishi, nice
if
case.
you want to
Just
next
one.
yes.
No, regarding nice case, but left eye. Basically, what has happened is there is an overlap of the graft.
Yes.
So that's why there is a peripheral thickening. Okay,
Yeah.
so there will be a compensatory thickening
flattening.
of the central. No, it would be very interesting to see the epithelial maps. If you have the epithelial maps, there will be a central thickening of the epithelium to compensate for the peripheral increase in the thickness of the stroma because of the overlap, and there'll be a peripheral thinning of the epithelium. So what happens when you do a topoliink is that, yes, temporary relief, and then after some time you will probably have some amount of regression. So what I was thinking is you could probably remove the peripheral epithelium and resize the graft. You can just take a Trifine and then just cut out that area which is kind of overlapping and do a frill excision. So you resize the graft, and then the epithelium kind of settles down, and then you will have a better smoothness of the cornea, and you don't have this peripheral increase in the thickness. Because see, once you do a topoliink without taking into consideration the epithelium, then that is temporary. Again, when the epithelium kind of smooths out, you'll have a refractive shift, and I think that's what Chitra also was saying, that you can have some problems. So probably a frill excision of that overlapping edge of the falc graft would.
I was only concerned that it would be an irregular excision. You know, the edge would not be a perfect fit, and
it's slightly eccentric. So you need to kind of decenter the Trifine and do it.
Yeah.
But I think that would probably be a better solution.
Maybe.
I tend to agree with what you did, Rishi. Excellent case. And I think the fact that you did a transepithelial PRK for removing the epithelium and subsequently did PRK also helped, in the sense that it sort of, whatever epithelial thickness was there was somewhere in the periphery, not really in the central visual axis. And the removing the epithelium using the laser itself sort of exposes you to a more regular surface in which you deal with the refractive error. Of course, this was a very difficult case, and I think there would have been several ways of handling it. It worked out well in your hands.
Yeah, true, very true. It was damn good.